click. So everything is now connected. Let's save that. And let's see what we've accomplished so far. Let's build and run. Okay, excellent. So we still have our two text fields. Let's try and launch one of them. We'll see the keyboard. Now let's click something and let's click return, and the keyboard disappears. Let's launch the keyboard again, and let's click on the background and the keyboard has disappeared. So as for now, success. So let's continue with the tutorial. Okay, so let's add some code to interact with our XML. Let's quit the simulator. Let's go to the XML login view control.h. And first of all, we would like to set the variables. Define here the variables that we will want to use to parse our XML. So the first thing you're gonna need is XML parser object, which is the object that are used to interact with XML in iPhone. So we'll call it XML parser. Okay. Okay. Now let's define. We're gonna wanna read the XML and store an array of the items in the XML. So in our XML is made of user item, which has the username and password. So we'll define an array that will hold object, that each object in the array contain two strings, one for username and one for password. So the best type to use for array for object is NS mutable array, and we'll call it our users array. And each item in the array has an object which is used for an NS mutable dictionary. So NS mutable dictionary, and we'll call it item. Store a single item with two strings, username and password. And we're gonna have two strings that will hold the current username that we're processing and current password that we are processing. So let's do two mutable strings. One we'll call current user, and the other one let's call it current password. And the last element we're gonna need is a string that will hold the current element that we are processing. So let's call that a string current element. Okay, now let's add a few words about these two objects, the mutable array and the mutable dictionary. As I said, mutable array is a good type to store general objects, and the mutable dictionary is it's a real convenient type to store make general objects. Like in this case, we're gonna wanna create an object that's contain two strings, username and password. So we're gonna use mutable dictionary item, and in it we're gonna store each item will have the password, username and password. So okay, let's save our header file. Let's click File, Save. Let's go and add some code to the XML login view control.m. So the first thing we're gonna want is to initiate our variables. So the best place to do it is in the view.load function. So you're gonna have to uncomment the view.load. The reason that all those functions, you see a lot of functions that are commented, and the reason for that is that basically that's the way Xcode tells us that our code doesn't use those functions, but the parent class that we inherited from has those function, and we use them. So if I uncomment this, we're basically saying Xcode, listen, I don't want you to use the class we inherited from viewDidLoad function. I want to write a viewDidLoad function myself. So this is why the first line is super viewDidLoad. It says the parent class, please activate the viewDidLoad in the parent class, and then we add additional code after this line of code. So first of all, let's initiate our users array. So users equals bracket ns mutable array alloc, close one bracket, and init, close bracket, semicolon. Okay, we initiated the user array. We're gonna need an NSURL object. You will see in a minute why. So let's define NSURL. Let's call it XML URL. Let's do NSURL. Let's initiate it with URL with string. Let's use, I have my XML on this URL. You can use the same URL. You can use upload your own XML and put your path inside. So this is okay, semicolon, and let's allocate our XML parser. So XML parser, XML parser alloc, and that's init with content of URL. And as you can see, this function needs NSURL, and this is why we defined the NSURL above. So we're gonna use XML URL, like that. Okay, now we're gonna wanna first set the delegate of the XML parser. So XML parser set delegate, and we're telling itself like all the search for the methods that are overridden in this class. That's why we write self. And we finish by telling him you can start parsing. So XML parser parse. And okay, we'll finish the initialization code. As you can see, the first line we initiate our array. The second line we define an URL, NSURL object, which we later will use to initiate the NSXML parser object. So we define that. We put our path in this NSURL. Sorry, I have my path is /user.xml. Make sure that the path ends with a XML file, and then we initiate the XML parser, basically saying it initiate with the URL above, and we set the delegate itself, which that tells them look for the functions overridden in this class, and with the last command is start parsing.